Hey guys, Ace is here, and in today's video, what we're going to talk about how to set up a website or a blog as easy as possible. So, if you guys are watching this video, then either you landed here through one of my other videos, or you're just curious on how to go about setting up your own blog or your own website. And so, hopefully, I'm going to help you kind of walk through that process and share with you guys the tools you'll also need to kind of get all that stuff kind of in place. Now, if this is your first time kind of tuning into the channel, I really would appreciate it if you do find value in this video, that you go ahead and actually like the video, as well as you can always subscribe to the channel because I'll be adding more content just like this in the near future. So without further ado, guys, let's get started. All right, guys, so before we can kind of get into that nitty gritty, what I want to make sure is that you guys understand a few of the tech terms that I might be throwing around, so that way you guys can really follow along with me and understand everything I'm talking about as I'm taking you through this walkthrough. So the first thing I want to make sure you guys understand is domain. So if you hear me talking about a domain or a domain name or something like that, basically what I'm referring to, guys, is your website name. So your website name, guys, is basically how people are actually able to go ahead and actually go to your website, right? So think of like a big website like Google, right? We usually just reference Google as Google, but their domain is actually google.com, right? Because that's what we have to type into our internet browser to be able to go to their website and do our search. So similarly, for you and your website, you're going to have to need a domain so that people are actually going to be able to go to your website. So if if you're creating a website maybe for your own business or something like that, then this might just be your business name. So something like amandascupcakes.com, right? Or if it's your own brand that you're trying to create, it might just be your name or something like that. So I'm going to share with you guys exactly how you can go. First off, make sure that your domain name is actually available for you to be able to use, and secondly, how you can even get it done for free. All right, guys. So that's the first thing I want to make sure you understand. The next term I want to make sure you guys understand is hosting. So what is hosting? Why do you need it? And what does it have to do with your website? So hosting, guys, is super, super, super important. So for you guys to understand this, I want to kind of break it down to something that everybody can understand, which is if you're ever working on maybe on a file on your computer, right? So think of like, say maybe you're writing a report or you're writing an essay or something on your computer, right? And then when you're done with it, you're done editing it and doing everything else. What do you normally do? You usually save a copy, right, of your document on your computer, right? So it gets saved on your hard drive, and anytime you need to access it or need to see it, you are going to be able to go to your hard drive and then just open up that file. So with that same idea, guys, your website, for all intents and purposes, is basically just a file, okay? And so when you want to be able to access it, or if anybody wants to access it, aka your viewers wanting to go to actually see your website, right, they need to be able to access it on some sort of a hard drive, or it's going to be saved somewhere. So hosting, guys, is basically like an internet hard drive that its only purpose is to basically have your website saved so that people can go ahead and go on their browser and type in, say, amandascupcakes.com and be able to actually see your website. So this is why hosting is super, super important, and why you are going to need it, because without hosting, you basically have no website, right? Because it's not going to be saved anywhere, and so people won't be able to access it. So now the last term I want to make sure that you guys understand here, guys, that I'll be talking about is WordPress. So WordPress, guys, is basically a piece of software that you're going to be using, and it's going to be the main software you're going to use to actually go ahead and create and edit and modify your actual website. So I'm going to actually walk you guys through how you can set this all up and how you can make some basics, how you can set it up on a really basic level, so that way you guys can get yourself up and running and hopefully get your website up and running as quickly as possible. So now that we've talked about all these terms, guys, now let's get into the nitty gritty of how we actually set all this stuff up. All right, guys, so kind of like I mentioned just a few seconds ago, the first thing that you want to do in terms of setting up your website or your blog is that you're going to have to first off discover or figure out what domain name you're going to use, aka what's the website name you're going to be using. Now, this may be a simple task, or it could be something that's a little bit harder, depending on whether you're still coming up with a brand name, or whether you're just going to be using your own name, or maybe you already have a business, and maybe the business name could be something that is relatively common. And so I'm going to kind of walk you guys through this whole process. Now, there's a bunch of different websites you can actually use to do this. I personally like using Namecheap, guys, to be able to do this. But basically, all you're going to do is you're going to go to namecheap.com. Okay, and in here, you're going to be able to basically select and enter different website names to see if they're available or not for you to be able to register them. Now, we're not going to actually be using Namecheap to register things because you would have to pay for it, but it's a great tool that you can use to basically discover to see whether your domain might be available. And then after you've figured out which one's available, then I'm going to share with you guys exactly how you can get your own domain set up for free. All right, so let's say that theoretically, you have maybe a bakery is called Amanda's Cupcakes, right? We talked about that earlier. So let's look up and see if Amanda's Cupcakes is actually already a website. So let's say amandascupcakes.com. So we're going to search here and see what happens. So it looks like Amanda's Cupcakes is actually already taken. All right, guys. So it looks like somebody already has a business name that is basically exactly that. So in this case, what we're going to have to do is we might have to get a little creative, or you can use alternate options, right, that might be available to you. For example, for myself, since I'm actually up in Canada, it's suggesting to me that I could use maybe amandascupcakes.ca, right? So .canada basically at the end, right? So in my case, that might work for me, right? Because if I would be a Canadian business, that would make sense. However, if you're not, that might not make sense, right? So in this case, what you might want to do is you might want to get a little more creative. Maybe what you could do is you can add the name of the city maybe that you're actually in, or the town that you're in, to make it more specific. So let's say, for example, like Amanda's Cupcakes, let's say Chicago. We'll see if that's available, chicago.com. So if you type that in, boom, we can see that it is available. All right, guys. So we can use Amanda's Cupcakes Chicago.com as our main website. So now we've basically done our little bit of research and we figured out which domain name we could potentially be using. So once you've done that, guys, if you want to, you can definitely use Namecheap as an option for you to be able to register your website name. And you can literally say add to cart, and you can go through the purchase process. And it's going to cost you about $10 or $11 per year, depending on the URL name that you have, guys, and how either common or popular that name might be. This pricing might be a lot more expensive, guys, because it could be ridiculously expensive, right? It can literally cost you thousands of dollars to register a domain. But for most people, it's honestly going to be somewhere between $10 and $20 probably a year to have your domain name registered. So as promised, I want to share with you guys how you can actually go ahead and get your domain for free, and it actually has to do with hosting. So we talked about hosting, guys, already, right? In your hosting is basically like your internet hard drive, right? It's going to be where your website's going to be saved, and it's the way that people are going to be able to access your website 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So the hosting service that I personally use, and I was the one that I would probably recommend to you the most, would be Bluehost. Now, I'll leave guys links to all the resources in the description so you guys can get quick and easy access. So don't worry about having to go anywhere right now. But basically, guys, when you guys go through Bluehost, right, or some things to at least consider if you don't want to use Bluehost, you don't have to, right? There's a ton of other hosting options out there like HostGator. You can go through GoDaddy. Even I think Namecheap has hosting as well. So there's a variety of different ways. But the main things that I find to be super important when it comes to hosting is, first off, you want to make sure that it's going to be a place that's going to be reliable. You want to make sure that it's going to be a place where it's going to their servers and their drives and stuff are actually quick, because you want people to be able to access your website quickly and securely. And so security is obviously a very big thing as well as if they offer some sort of support, right? Because there could be times when you might be working on your website or making tweaks to your website, you get stuck, and if you don't have support to kind of help you out with it, it can be kind of annoying, right? And so this is one of the reasons why I love Bluehost, right? So as you can see here, something that they include with their hosting packages is, first off, they give you one free domain name registration, so that's how you guys can get it for free. So you don't have to pay your $11 or $20 or whatever it's going to cost you to do this, right? You can literally go through Bluehost, and as you're signing up with them as a hosting service, they'll actually give you one domain registration for free, which is awesome. Next, they actually offer you SSL certificates. Basically, this just means that your website is actually secure, right? Because I don't know if you've ever encountered this before, but maybe you go to a website that you've clicked on, or a link that you clicked on, and your browser tells you, please beware, this website may not be safe, right? And so it makes you kind of scared and paranoid, right? And we don't want to do that with your potential viewers or your potential visitors, right, to your website, right? And so by having an SSL certificate on your website basically means that they won't encounter that error, right? So they won't have any issues, and they won't think that you're sketchy or anything like that, when they're trying to go to your website and their browser says there's an error, because they won't get that error, because you'll have your SSL certificate included. The next thing is that they actually allow for you to go ahead and install WordPress right from the gate. So we talked about WordPress, and we'll be talking a lot about WordPress in the next few minutes, right, guys? But basically, WordPress is going to be the main piece of software you're going to use to actually create your website. So it actually comes included, and it's super easy to get started. And then lastly, they actually offer you 24-hour, 7-day support. So that's super, super handy, especially if you're maybe working on your website at like midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning or something like I have, on a random Sunday, and then you can give them a call if you kind of get stuck, because they'll be able to go ahead and help you out. So, and I've actually have done that, and they've been really great in helping me out. So as you can see, guys, it's not super expensive either. You can get packages starting even at $295 a month. That's starting as of right now. the date of this recording, which is in 2019, right? But prices may change or promotions may change. But like I said, I'll leave a link for you guys all down in the description below, so that way if you need access to it, you can go ahead and get this later on. So the process here then, guys, is you're going to have to sign up, obviously, for hosting. So wherever you choose to go, you can go ahead and go. In case of a Bluehost, if you do go with them, guys, I think you can get started with just the basic package. Is going to be probably more than enough and more than what you actually need, especially for you to just get going, right? Because you don't need unlimited websites, you don't need all this stuff where just creating one website. You're going to have more than enough space with it. You're going to have more than enough bandwidth with it, so you're going to be a-okay. Okay, so you can go ahead and get started with the basic package, because I think that's all you're going to need. So you can go ahead and click on select. And then in this part, basically, it's going to ask you if you already have a domain name, right? So maybe you already registered one. For example, if you bought one through like something like Namecheap, right? And so you're just transferring it over, or you can just register your domain, straight up through here where it says new domain with Bluehost. So let's say the domain we actually chose, we were going to use amandascupcakeschicago.com. So we're going to say, Amanda's Cupcakes Chicago. Oops, there's already.com there, right? Selected, right? And you can go ahead and do that, and you just click on next, and it will basically register that domain name as soon as you finish. And it'll confirm with you here. It says the domain, amandascupcakeschicago.com is available, which is exactly what we researched before, right? So then you guys can just go through the setup process here, and at the end of it, basically you'll go ahead and submit, and you're going to be able to register your account and then basically get yourself going. So we're gonna move past that process because I'm not going to fill all this information, guys, and I'll show you what it looks like from the inside. All right, guys. So at this point now, hopefully you've gone through the registration process, and if you chose Bluehost as your hosting service, then it'll be super easy for you to go ahead and just have it set up with WordPress. So you'll see an example just like this, where it'll have your domain. So in this case, it's my actual website, netplaymarketing.com, right? But if we register, let's say amandascupcakes.chicago.com, then that's what it would say here, right? Or whatever your business or whatever your domain name is going to pop up here, right? And then it'll give you an access to go ahead and log into WordPress. All right. So so what we're going to do is we're actually going to do that. We're going to log into WordPress, and it'll take you directly to the basically what's called the dashboard of WordPress, which is where you basically create all your stuff, when it comes to your blog and or your website. So this is what your dashboard is actually going to look like. All right, guys. So here, guys, is where everything kind of happens, is where all the magic happens. And so we're going to go through some straightforward stuff here to basically get you up and running as quickly as possible. And then if you want, some more like detailed and some more advanced videos and on maybe specific things that I might go through here, for sure, just leave me some comments in the comment section and let me know of any future videos or future topics you might want me to cover, maybe more specifically in terms of creating your blog and all this other stuff. And I can definitely go through that with you guys as well. Okay. So first off, though, to kind of get yourself going, one of the first things we're going to need to do is actually pick a theme. So a theme, guys, in a nutshell, is basically what your website is kind of going to look like, overall. So what we're going to do is once you're in your dashboard here, guys, what you're going to do is you're going to be able to go to Appearance and go to Themes. So if we do that and we click on this theme section, it'll basically give us a whole bunch of different themes that we have selected. I already have one installed, which is my Genesis theme, right? But what we can do here, guys, is we can actually go on add a new theme, and it'll give you a whole variety of free themes you can get started with. For you to just get going, guys, the free ones might be more than enough for you. You can always purchase different ones as you continue to grow your website or as you continue to change things up. But for the time being, you can easily just go through these themes here and find one that makes sense to how you want to build your website, right? And it gives you little previews of what they kind of look like, right? So for example, if you wanted more of a classic blog theme, then you might do something like this guy, right? Where you can go ahead and preview it, and you'll see that it looks just like a standard sort of blog. So you'll have like your title up here, a couple of links to different pages maybe on the right side here, and then like your basically your blog post will be kind of sectioned off like this in individual sections. Okay, so this is a pretty straightforward kind of blog post theme. If that's what you kind of want to go for, then boom, you can just go ahead and click on install here, and it will basically install this theme onto your website, and your website's going to look like this. All right. Of course, if you want something that's going to be looking more like a different type of website, you can obviously pick something like maybe like this guy, where it's a little bit of a different theme. Well, I'm not sure why there's no preview for this guy. Let's try this again. Let's go preview. See if it pops up. Nope, doesn't want to work. Okay, no problem. We'll find another one. So let's say if we wanted to find a website maybe that looks like this, right? You'll see it's got more of a homepage kind of setup and stuff like that. Let's click on preview. Hopefully it'll preview. There we go. So here you go, right? You got the blog set up kind of here on the left-hand side, but there's also, I think, on the main page will look like a home screen, kind of like you saw there, right? So you can go ahead and install this. And of course, you can always install it, guys, and you can always change it up, right? You don't have to. You're not, married to one specific theme. Once you've selected it, it's not like it's done and you're stuck with it forever. You can always change it up. For example, like you pick this theme, you start editing it, and then you think to yourself, you know what, I don't really like this theme. Then it's okay. You can always come back to themes and you can install a new one, and all the content and everything you've created will literally just be transferred over to that new theme. Okay, guys, so that's not something you don't have to worry about. Okay, that's one of the cool things about using WordPress, because it recognizes your content and is able to differentiate it between that and the different themes, so that we are able to edit things a little bit differently. So as you can see, guys, like I said, there's a whole bunch of different themes and a whole bunch of different options that you can go ahead and go with, right? And you can edit them, accordingly, depending on how you want to kind of set up your website or your blog. Okay, so that's basically first thing you need to know. Okay, guys, so now let's say we've selected a theme and we want to make maybe a few different changes and customize your theme, right? Because obviously maybe this theme particularly isn't the one that you kind of want to, right? Maybe you want to make a few different changes. Maybe you want to have it in a different color or something like that. So you definitely can do that. You're going to go back to appearances here, guys, on the left-hand side, and we're going to go to customize. So when we select that, basically what it's going to do is it's going to allow you to go through and edit and change pretty much anything you want to on your website. So here it's going to give you a preview of what your website looks like. So this is mine here. This is my homepage, right? And my blog, if I click on my blog, would be a separate, different page. Okay, so it's loading up here real quick. Cool, and there's my actual blog setup. All right, guys, so this is the theme that I have going, right? And this is the Genesis theme. And so this is the way that my blog is kind of all set up. Now, here on the left-hand side, though, you can change a whole bunch of different things, guys, depending on what you want to. So, for example, you can change the first off the site identity, meaning like what pops up on the little tabs at the top of a browser when somebody clicks on your website. So mine says Netplay Marketing because that's my website name, right? Then you can always change things like obviously the color scheme, right? So mine is just plain white for the background of my blog, but if I wanted to change that, I can clearly just go here and select a different color, right? And so you can obviously modify it and tweak it, and you can always come back here and make different changes as you want to, guys, right? You can change the header image. So as you can see, I have my logo here at the top, right? netplaymarketing.com, right? So I can hide that image, change the image. All you got to do is literally add a new image and select a different image if you want to, right? And obviously you'll be able to paste it right there. So if you already have a logo made up from somewhere, then boom, you can just literally paste it there. Super easy. The next thing you guys can do is change the different background image. So as you can see, I have a picture of myself here, next to the kind of like the cityscape here. So that's my background image. Obviously, you guys can change your image if you want to. You don't have to keep that going that way. You can select the different types of menus you want to here. As you can see, I have 4 different links for 4 different pages, which is exactly what I have going on here. My home, my blog, my Who is Aces, and Work with Aces page, right? So boom, they're all in there, and I can change the order if I want to, right? If I want to, I can literally just move one over or whatever the case is, right? But I don't want to do that right now. But you can easily edit that, which is super, super simple. A couple other things you can go through here, guys, is different widgets. I personally don't have any widgets right now going on, so I'll share with you guys a couple of different things in a few minutes in terms of how you can edit some of these things, but I'm not going to do it through this option here. Then you can have some other options like your home page settings, so you can literally select if you wanted a different page, right? I can actually select a different page to be as my homepage, meaning like when somebody goes and types in netplaymarketing.com, if you want to direct them to a separate page that's not your blog, you can definitely do that. For example, like myself, right? I have this homepage set up, right? As opposed to my blog, they land on this page, right? So that's exactly what I have set up here. Homepage is set up to home, which is exactly this link here, okay? And that's this page here. Cool. And then they can go ahead and click obviously on my blog or my story or whatever if they want to go ahead to one of those pages, which is basically the same links as it would be up here. Let's see, what else can we do? So we can obviously change some other themes, some other settings inside of your theme. If you want to, like it gives you an option here for Google AdSense, which is if you wanted to have like banners that Google pays you for and stuff like that. So there's a whole bunch of different stuff you guys can do here, right? Different header scripts that you can go ahead and install. You can literally do just about everything, guys, inside of here. And then obviously some SEO stuff and additional CSS. If you are a bit of a coder and you know how to do CSS code in terms of like being able to customize your website and stuff like that, chances are you're probably not watching this video if you know how to code, guys. But basically this just means that you're able to go ahead and make some really cool customized things if you really wanted to and you want to delve into more CSS and that kind of stuff. But we're not going to do that right now because we're not going to worry about that because you guys are just learning how to set this up on a really basic level. All right, guys. Also at the bottom here, unfortunately, you guys can't see, but there's a couple of links here. I don't know if I can't really move the page here, but it gives you also little previews of how it would look like in different formats. So as you can see right now, I click, this is what it would kind of look like on an iPad or some sort of a tablet, right? So if people were to go visit my website through that, this is what it would break down to. Or if somebody were to go ahead and view it through their cell phone, it would look kind of the similar sort of idea. This gives you just a general idea, guys, so you can get a bit of a preview of what it would look like. But I know I've definitely customized this a little bit differently, so this would actually look a little bit different. It doesn't look this massive on an actual mobile. But it just gives you a rough idea of what it would look like. All right, guys, and that's full screen right there. All right, guys, so at this point, we basically have now selected your theme. Right, we basically installed a new theme onto your onto your website. We have now customized it, right, to make it look a little bit more the way you want to. You've hopefully changed up some of the logos. You've changed up the color scheme a little bit. Maybe you've added a few other like things here and there. And so now, really, guys, the really only missing component for your website to kind of be set up, at least on a very basic level, is going to be the actual content. So I'm going to walk you guys through how you actually create content. But first, before I do that, guys, I want to share with you guys the two different styles of content you're going to be creating for your website, okay, or your blog. So the first thing for me to do this is I'm just going to pull up my my actual website here, guys, real quick. Okay, because I want to share this idea here with you. So one is that you can create what's called separate pages on your actual website. Okay, guys. So a page would be the equivalent of basically these links here. So I have my home page, which is this page here, guys, right? And this page, the whole purpose of it is to guide people to different areas of my website, right? So if people want to go ahead and visit my blog, they can click on here. If they want to go and learn more about me, they can click on my story. If they want to learn more about how they can work with me, they can go ahead and click on work with me, right? Which is kind of like an about me page, right? So these are different pages. So if I were to actually click here, right, and go to my story, what's going to happen is it's going to take people to this page. And as you can see, guys, this like the theme of my website is still very much the same because that's the way I've set up my theme. However, the content now is basically just this about me section here. So people can read up a little bit more about me and a little bit more about my story, right? And that's basically what I have set up for myself here as the Who is Aces page, okay? So this is an individual page that people can literally access. And if you are actually, unfortunately, you can't really see it fully here, guys, but basically it says netplaymarketing.com/whoisaces. And that's the URL to be able to access this website. So this, guys, is basically what's considered a solo page, okay, inside of WordPress. So it's basically a standalone page that people can go ahead and access, and they'll be able to go into their URL here, basically, which is netplaymarketing.com/whoisaces in this case, right, and be able to go directly to this page. Now, there is a second type of content that you can create on your website, which is called just a post. So when you're creating like on a blog, guys, I'm going to go to the blog section here now of my website. In the blog section, guys, you can see the theme here hasn't really changed much, okay? My theme is still very much the same. However, what you'll see here is I have my blog posts here listed up. And if we actually scroll down, there's actually multiple blog posts. So this is one really long single blog post. But in here, guys, this is a second blog post now. This is a second topic, right? 5 steps to converting leads into paying customers. The first one we had up here was actually 7 lessons for the new internet marketer. If we keep scrolling down, right, there's going to be another blog post here somewhere. Where'd it go? Wrapping it all up. Perfect. There's the next, and here's the next one. So the 20% rule. That's another blog post. So as you can see, guys, you have multiple posts kind of here all on the exact same page. All right. So this page is considered my blog post page, right? Because I have a whole bunch of different blogs kind of set up here on them, right? But the blogs are within my blog page. Hopefully that didn't confuse you guys, right? So as you can see, I have different pages that serve different purposes, right? And the purpose of my blog page is just to have different blog posts inside of them, right? So those are the two different types of content you're going to be creating, either a post for your blog page or a single page for people to access to get specific information about, on your website. In my case, I have my kind of about me page, which is the Who is Aces page, and I also have the Work with Aces page for people who want to find out a little bit more about how to work with me. Okay, so for a blog post, people can technically, go ahead and access the blog post individually if you wanted to. All right, but they're actually saved under this one big heading, which is your blog. Okay, guys, so that's kind of the difference. So different pages and different posts within it. So we're gonna go back now to the dashboard here of your website, right? And I'm gonna show with you guys here that there is a post section and there is a pages section. So we're gonna go to the pages section here first. So inside of the pages section, and the funny thing, guys, is that to create a page or to create a post is basically identical. So that's the good thing for you, because it's pretty easy for you to be able to go ahead and actually put this thing together. So what you're going to do is you're going to go up here and click on Add New. And what's going to happen is it's going to bring you to the editor. And so here, guys, all you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and start literally just typing away what content you want to have on here. So you're going to start off with your title. So it could be About Us. Right, if that's one of the pages you're going to create, like an About Us page. So here you can have your story. So here is a story about us. Right, and you can continue to add different things here. You can add images if you wanted to. Right, you can easily just click on Upload here. You can upload a picture. Let's say I'm just going to add this random picture that I have here. Okay, how to make $100 a day. It's for my YouTube channel. All right, so you can clearly do stuff like this, right? You can edit images. You can also have it so that it's completely, move to the side here, so people can still, edit this any way you want to. Once you've actually done this, you can even preview it so you can see what it looks like before you actually publish it. So there we go. So this is basically what your page would look like. Okay, guys. So the theme is still going to be the same as you edited and customized it before, right? But now you have this page inside of your website. So what you could do is you can either have it as a heading here for people to be able to go to this page, right? If you wanted to, right? Because that's what you're creating. You're creating its own independent page. So here, basically, this is what it would look like. And obviously, you can make it much longer, right? This is just a quick example of how you would set this up. Now, once you basically created this whole thing, guys, you can just save this as a draft, which is this little option here, and basically that will just save it inside of WordPress for you, but it won't be able to be seen publicly. So if somebody were to actually go to your website, they won't be able to see it. But when you are ready to actually, basically have this post now be finalized and you want it on your website, then what you can do is you can go ahead and click on Publish, and it will actually publish it for you. Okay, so to kind of show you how that process will work, guys, we're going to actually publish this page here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a few more things here so it looks a little bit more legit. So here, so this is where we came from. This is where we are going, and this is how we're going to make it happen. Okay, so let's say this is the kind of the page we want. So we're going to preview this and see what this kind of looks like. Okay, perfect. So here's the page. So let's say we like this page. We like this is the way we want it set up. We like the picture and everything else. Cool, we're good to go. Right, so at this point, if we wanted to, I can click on Publish. And basically what's going to happen is it says, are you ready to publish? Just double check your settings before you go, right? And so we're going to make it public, right? It's exactly what we want. And we want to publish it immediately, right? So people can access it and see it right away. So we can go ahead and click on Publish, right? And once it's done publishing, boom, it's now saved. So here, what you can do, guys, is you can actually edit the link as well on your website, right? So for me, you can see this says the page address is netplaymarketing.com/aboutus, right? And so that's going to be the link. So if you were literally about to go to this link, you would be able to actually see this. So let's go ahead and enter that on my browser and see if it published properly. And there it is. This is now live. So if you were to actually go to this link right now, netplaymarketing.com/aboutus, you'd be able to see this actual page. So now it's public. All right, guys. And so that's the same thing that you would do for your page, right? So when you can edit it for as long as you want to, you don't have to worry that it's going to be visible or people can see what you're editing. When your page is finally done and you've saved it, then you can basically just hit publish and go ahead and do that. And you can change the link too. You don't have to keep it to this. You can change this, or you can say this could be like mytestpage.com or whatever it is, right? So I'm going to leave that as is, right? But that's basically how you would go about creating a page. Now, really quickly, I'm going to share with you guys how you would go about creating a post, because it's basically going to be exactly the same thing. So we're going to go to post here, and we're going to go to add new. Perfect. So now what we're going to do, guys, here, right, is exactly the same thing. So we're going to say this is going to be a test blog post, right? And then you can write your whole content here. So this is where your content will go. Okay. And so obviously here, again, you can kind of play around with it, guys, a little bit, learn how to, you can add images and add links and stuff like that to your blog post or whatever you want. So I'm going to say add an image, go to my media library here. Okay, I'm going to add this image here, say select. Right, you can obviously edit these so it's not so big. Obviously I can make this a little bit way smaller, so it's just like this. I can force it to the left so I can still add text here if I wanted to. Right, there we go. So let's say this is now an article style image. So my image is going to go around it, so my text is going to go around it. So if I keep typing, it's just going to go around it, and then it's going like this. Okay, so if we were to preview this, you're going to see what a post would look like. And there you go, right? So here we go. Here's how the post would look like. Obviously, with more content, it would look more full, right? But this is the basic idea of what it would happen, right? You always usually timestamps it for you as well in terms of the date of when you're publishing your thing, right? And then your theme still stays the same, but this is now a post inside of a page. So what would happen, guys, is because this is a blog post, what would happen is if I were to actually save this now, okay, if I were to actually publish this, what's going to happen is that it would actually add this page, okay, to the list of blog posts that I have inside of my blog post section of my website. Okay, it wouldn't save it as its own page. It would save it as a post inside of my blog post area. Okay, so again, that's kind of the two different areas the two different types of content. So for example, here, if I were to go to my blog section, so here right now, the latest post I have is this one, 7 lessons for the new internet marketer. If I were to post that page I shared with you guys, basically what would happen is this would now get moved down a spot, and that new post that I just created would now be the top thing that somebody would see when they would come here and click on the blog section of my website. Okay, so those are the two differences, right? So you have a post and then you have a page. So those are the two different types of content you can create. So at this point, you might be wondering to yourself, so when would I use a page versus a post? So, well, one of the main reasons why you might want to create like a page rather than a post is, let's say if you are creating content that has a very specific purpose that you don't really want people to access publicly. Okay, because basically what would mean is that the only way that somebody could access the page would be with a specific link, right? Because here, anytime I basically upload a post, right, guys, anytime somebody goes to the blog section, any post I post will be basically posted here publicly. However, if I create a page, because right now, guys, you see, I didn't create an About Me page here, right? I didn't create a link to it. However, if I were to actually go here and type in netplaymarketing.com/about-us, right, that other page that I created will still be here. So hopefully this loads up in just a second. Perfect, there it is, right? And there's the page I created, right? But nobody knows about this page except for you guys right now on this video, okay? So nobody can actually access this page right now except for you guys, because you guys know this link right now, which is netplaymarketing.com/about-us. And just for fun, I might leave this page here just so you guys can access it if you want to, right? But the point is that this page now, if I were to copy this URL, netplaymarketing.com/about-us, right, I can now share that link with maybe my email list. I could share this with maybe my YouTube followers, or anybody who wants to anybody who I would want to see this page. Right? So you can basically create content that's specific, maybe just for a specific group of people, and that way if they go to your website, right, they will only see that content, right? And that's the only way they'll be able to access that content, right? And so it's a really cool way to create almost like exclusive content for people. So let's say if you maybe were creating maybe a YouTube channel with specific viewers, or maybe have a Facebook group and stuff like that, and say, hey guys, I just created a specific, a new blog just for you guys that walks you through, how to make $100 a day. with internet marketing, for example, right? So then you would basically give them your link, and they would be the only ones who would be able to access this page. So it's kind of cool because it's exclusive to them, right? So they feel special because they have the links to that page, and that's basically when you would want to use a page rather than a specific just a blog post, because a blog post will always be publicly listed right here in the blog section. So if I go back to this section, right, any blog post I ever have, the newest blog post will be posted here at the top, right? But with the page, only people that have access to the link of the page. So I can make it public if I wanted to. If I added a new header here in my menu and had an About Us section, then people can click on that and go to that page. But if not, then nobody will be able to access it unless they know that link actually exists on my website. Cool. So that's kind of what and how you would want to use that sort of feature. So at this point, guys, what I want to do is I want to cover something that I know everybody's going to be asking me, because I was really wanting to know how to do this when I first got started and had to go figure it out for myself, which is how do I go about setting up a little bit of a side banner or a sidebar, kind of like this guy here, right, on my blog or on my website, because it won't be there unless you create it. So I want to share with you guys basically first off why you would want to do this. So this is really a great way, guys, to be able to kind of almost, it's like free advertising for yourself and for your blog, right? Because you can basically use this little section here to guide people to maybe something you want them to opt into. So for example, in this case, they would be able to get my free training on how to build basically an online business, right? And so if people were to click on here, it takes them to a website. So if I were to click on here, it basically takes them to an opt-in page here where people are able to go ahead and literally just submit their email, and they'll get access to the free training. Right? So if you want to create something kind of like this, guys, I'll share with you guys exactly how you can go about setting this up, because this is pretty much almost like the last component and the last thing you'd want to set up before you just go crazy and start creating all the content you want to on your website or your blog. So the way you do this, guys, is we're going to go back to the dashboard here, right? And inside of the dashboard here, guys, what you can do is we can go to the again, the appearance section here, and we're going to go to the section called widgets. So remember we talked about widgets earlier on, guys, in the theme section. Well, I didn't want to get into it just then, because I wanted to first off show you guys what it was and why you would want to use it, and then from there show you guys how to actually create one. So we're going to click on the widget section here, and you'll see there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff that pops up. Okay, so the main thing that you need to know, guys, out of all this nonsense that's here, right, and yours is probably not going to look the same thing, because I have a bunch of different like plugins and random crap that I have on my computer, right? So you don't have to worry about this for yourself. But basically what you're going to have to worry about, guys, is basically this section here. So you'll see here that there is a primary sidebar. Okay, so you can have multiple sidebars. So you can have like a bunch of different stuff going down the way, right? So let's say if we go back to my website here, right? You can have a whole bunch of different stuff posted here, like all across the board, like continuing to go down. So you can have a bunch of different sidebars, right? I just like to have a primary one, so it's just always at the top here, right? And I have three sections, as you can see. I have the little banner here, I have my little social buttons here, and then I have these recent posts for people to go ahead and go to my most recent posts. Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys exactly how I did that. So inside of the primary sidebar section here, guys, I can click on it, and you'll see I have literally three sections. First off is called this text section. Second is my social icons, right? So if I click on this, you'll see I literally have the stuff that I have selected. So my Facebook link, my Google Plus link, my Twitter, and my YouTube URL. Right, and then lastly, then if I go to recent posts, you'll see that I've selected it, so it shows only the last the last 5 posts that I have actually created. Right, and that's why that's exactly what you see right here on this section. All right, so now the only thing is, how do you actually set this part up? So let's say you already had first off, you have to create this image. All right, guys, you're gonna have to create this image in something that you want to, or you can get it designed like on Fiverr or something like that, right? So that way you can have this on your website, right? I personally just created this one myself using Canva. So if you guys want to use Canva, it's a free service. It's great. You can go ahead and get that guy, right, and create a banner kind of like this. That's what I used, right? And basically all you do is you're going to pick text, and basically these are basically all your available widgets, right? These are all the things you can actually add to your website, and all you're going to do is you're going to take one of these guys and you literally just drag it to where you want it. So you can do it inside your primary, you can have it inside of your before header, you can have it inside of your welcome page, you can set it up anywhere you want to, right? So in this case, we're going to be putting it inside of our sidebar, right, our primary sidebar. So if I were to add one here, I could add something else completely if I wanted to here. I don't want to do that right now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this guy because I don't want it, but I just wanted to show you guys how easy it is for you to add one. Okay, so you literally just take this text section here and you pop it into this sidebar. Once you've done that, what you're going to do is you can click on the pull down here, and as you can see, my image is already there. All you have to do is you have to click on this add media button, and what you can do here is if you get a sidebar created, guys, you can literally just upload it here. You just click on upload files and click, and then you go ahead and select file, and you look for the image inside of your computer. So let's say, for example, I want to use that same image again, how to make the $100 one, right? So if I click on this image and I click on open, right, I'm going to upload that picture, okay, and boom, there it is, right? It actually has 2 copies because I forgot that I uploaded it automatically last time when I selected it for my the blog post example I was sharing with you guys earlier. So if you were to go ahead and select the picture now and just click on insert to post here at the bottom right, you'll see that it's going to pop up on here and boom, there it is. So now if I were to actually save this right now, what will happen is that on my website, that picture would show up here on the side as a little side banner. Cool. So all you got to do now, guys, is to make sure that you link this image to a website or to an opt-in page or wherever you want to send them, right? Is basically you have to just make sure you set up a URL linked to this image, meaning that when somebody clicks on this, it gets sent to a website, right? So I'll share with you guys how you do that. So all you got to do is you got to click on the image, and you're going to click on the little pencil, click on edit, and you'll see here that it says link to custom URL. So you can link them to different things, right? We're going to select a URL, and then you select which website you want them to go to. Okay, which website, or it could be a specific page on your proper blog if you wanted to too. Like for example, if you have a banner just saying, hey, check out my latest blog, right, then you can have a link to your blog right there, right? Or if you have a specific page you want to send them to, then boom, you can do the exact same there, right? The point is though, is you can basically send them anywhere you want to. You just got to pick where you want to send them to. So you're going to do that. You're going to click on the update little button here in the corner. You're going to click OK, and now boom, if I were to save this now, this image would be on the side banner of my website, and people would be able to click on it to go to that website. And that's it. Super easy, super simple. That's all it takes, guys. All right, so that's how you'd actually go about basically setting up a side banner. Now, one last thing I kind of want to just cover here for you guys really quickly, now that we're just wrapping up here. Right, at this point, we've covered a lot of different content, right? We've talked about how to set up your how to set up your theme. We've talked about how to customize your actual theme, right, for the different color schemes and all that stuff that you want to do. We've talked about how you can create different widgets and all that kind of stuff as well, right? So now at this point, guys, there's only one last thing that you should be aware of when it comes to setting up the basic setup of your blog, and it's basically this little section here called plugins. So yes, I'm going to leave here. So the plugin section, guys, of your website, basically, guys, is different little, like, think of them like little mini softwares or little apps, right? Like think of like apps on your phone, right? That basically have a specific purpose to do specific things on your blog. So the ones that are probably the most important to actually have installed here on your website, guys, are going to be WordPress Analytics, Google Analytics, which is this one here, as well as the Google XML sitemaps. Okay, so I'm going to share with you guys how you install these, and I'm going to share with you guys why you'd want these guys to begin with. So the Google XML sitemaps, guys, is basically what it does. It does this exact same thing that it tells you here. So it says this plugin improves your search engine optimization. So that's what SEO means. Using sitemaps for best indication by search engines like Google, Bing, Yahoo, and others. What the hell does that mean? So basically, what that means, guys, is that this plugin, what it will do is it will actually crawl your website, meaning it will check out the content you're creating on your website, and it will try to kind of create like almost like an index or like a table of contents of the content that you have on your website. So when people are on websites like Google or Bing or Yahoo, like search engines, and they're typing for a specific topic, for example, let's say if you created a website on all about pizzas, right, and somebody typed in on Google, how to make the best pepperoni pizza, and you created a blog post that says, how to create the best pepperoni pizza, then it's going to know that you have content related to that topic, on your website, and it will try to have your website pop up on the search engine. Okay, and so that's basically what this basically does, right? It basically searches your website to try and match people who are searching for stuff on the search engines with the content you have on your website. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So hopefully you can see why this is so important, right? Because without this, Google will have no idea what content is on your actual website. So this is super key to have it on your website. And the next one is basically Google Analytics. So Analytics, guys, is basically just so that you can keep a track of how many visitors you're having on your website, and you can see what kind of where people are coming from, if they're coming from specific websites, or if they're coming from YouTube or wherever sources they're maybe coming from and visiting your website from. So it's kind of cool to just to have that data so that you can obviously make some important decisions about your website or your blog in terms of how you want to create it. So the way that you go about installing a plugin, guys, is really super simple. All you got to do is, again, you're going to go up here and go to Add New, and you're going to search for whatever plugin it is that you're looking to install. So there's a whole bunch of them here, okay? So you can literally just go to search here, and we'll just type in Google, okay, and see what pops up for Google ones. right? I already have the main ones that you want that I have installed, but there's a whole bunch of other ones, right? So you can have like WordPress Google Maps installed, or you can have Google Analytic Dashboard installed, right? So all you literally got to do is click on install now, and then boom, it will install it for you. It's really that simple, okay? And then when you go to the plugin menu here, you'll be able to see it on your list, and that's how you know it's installed. So once it's here, it'll say that it's installed, and it'll show that it's activated, right? If it says activate, it means that it's not activated. So currently this one is turned off. That's why it's not highlighted blue. But all these other ones, guys, you can see there's a deactivate option because it means that it's currently active, right? So obviously I want to keep those there for myself. So that about wraps up, guys, the main things I wanted to talk about here, guys, in terms of setting up your website or your blog up. Now, I know this stuff can be kind of intimidating and a little bit overwhelming, so I do have a free little incentive for you guys if you want to take me up on it. So full disclosure, I am actually an affiliate for Bluehost, guys. So if you did decide that you wanted to move forward with your blog or website, what I will do for you guys is if you go down to the link below and the video and sign up to Bluehost, what you can then do is you can go ahead and email me at aces@netplaymarketing.com, and what I'll do is I'll actually go ahead and actually create you guys a custom homepage very similar to that of the one that I have on my website here, so that you guys can actually have that as your homepage on your website, and I'll help set it up for you guys so that way you guys can kind of just get going with it. All right, so if you guys want to take me up on that, again, all you got to do is head up to the link down below, go ahead and sign up, then shoot me an email, and I look forward to hearing from you guys soon. All right, take care.